Well, oh, by the way, welcome to Tangent Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to Tangent Podcast.
I'm gonna keep it like this.
Episode.
I'm your host, Yjang, and my good friend and pal, Jeff. What you're drinking today? A Mountain Dew red.
I was drinking it before because I was thirsty, and I had it next to me because I bought it 3 weeks ago, and I've only drank a little bit of it, so it was the only liquid nearby. Because I can't drink Cheez-Its. So, well, I could if I mash them up, but that's kind of disgusting.
Oh God, I kind of want to go for some just junk cheeses right now. I haven't. Okay, what I've been doing for the past couple of days, for listeners to know, I have been only eating one meal a day for a while again, and feel good. But okay, it sucks when you're at night or maybe mid-morning, but after that it's nothing. Even now I'm whatever, even though I was hungry.
I would probably at least eat 1.5 or 2 meals.
Well, the thing is, what I do is it's not so much one meal, one plate. What I do is I have 1 hour or less to eat anything I want. I don't restrict myself or anything. So basically oh, there's pizza day, okay, I'll have pizza. I'll have some salad, soup, maybe some tofu in the area.
I've never had tofu.
I like it, even though I have an allergy.
To try it sometime.
It's good if you fry it. If you fry tofu, it's delicious. And I say that even though I have a soy allergy, so that's big recommendation.
Oh, you would hate anything I cook then, because I have a wok, and almost all the recipes that I know for it have soy in them, besides 1 or 2.
Well, the thing is, I'm okay with eating soy, but it's okay, pure soy is where it's I can't take it. Soy milk, I can't drink it as much as I want to. But yeah, the more concentrated it is, the worse it is.
Why would you drink soy milk instead of regular milk?
The thing is, some of my family has a lactose allergy, so whenever I go to their house, sometimes I'm oh look, milk, and I have some cereal, and I'm oh God, why is my throat getting so stuffy? It's soy milk.
Can't you get rid of lactose intolerance if you have enough lactose?
I don't think so. I know some of my people that are in my family, they just take pills if they want to eat something with lactose, but it's only once per meal. So it's not 1 pill per day. It's just you have this pill and you can eat pizza without going through hell.
Jeez, I'm happy I was not born with that.
Same here. Now, my side of the family, my mom's side doesn't have that problem, but on my other side, yeah, it is. So I kind of get a little mix, and overall, it's not that bad. But yeah, I mean, I like soy stuff. Tofu's delicious, and I think it's just fun to have. So that's why I don't restrict myself whenever I come to that 1 hour window. Just eat whatever I want, and after that, I feel full and I feel all right.
Well, I would say, instead of leaving an unrestricted 1 hour window, you should probably eat 2 meals a day, but just make sure that it's, nutritional food and not terrible, because that's probably better for you than just eating anything in 1 hour.
I understand that, and I did that, and the thing is, I did that for a while, but the thing is, I couldn't get myself to be consistent with it. The thing I noticed when I did this is that when I were to do this, 1 meal a day thing, I tend to just go for healthier foods over time, because after a while, eating the really junk food doesn't make me feel good afterwards. So it's kind of like a negative feedback, where if I keep on eating pizza every day, it's not going to be good for me. I don't feel great. I feel like crap, and I have to deal with that was my 1 meal until tomorrow. So it kind of is like a reinforcement, I feel like I have to be more intentional with what I eat than if I were to have more meals available.
Yeah, and I used to feel like that, I would usually eat just, terrible food, but ever since I started cooking, these cooked meals, they make me feel a lot better, because they usually, a lot of stuff I cook actually has a large amount of fruits and veggies in it, and I think, so yeah, every meal I make has meat in it, which is because I really enjoy meat. But there's a lot of veggies and fruits and stuff in there too. So
you have a really good, you seem to be cooking better meals than before, from what I understand. So that's good.
What do you mean than before?
I don't know. You used to tell me that you used to eat a lot more chips and salsa beforehand.
Well, yeah, because that was basically my snack after coming home from school, you know, because my lunches were the same lunches that I got since I was in like 6th grade, and it wasn't enough food anymore. So I would come home and just eat whatever was around. But nowadays, I usually just eat, you know, maybe a handful or two of Cheez-Its, and then just wait out. Like, I usually eat a very light lunch that's maybe like some Cheez-Its and an apple and some milk. And then dinner, I usually have large dinners. Like last night, I made, I think, like 14 tacos for me, my brother, and my dad because my mom was working late. So I had 5 tacos, and it was really good.
That sounds actually pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm pretty much going through. I guess it's like a wellness episode because we're talking about our...
I think both of us, you know, we're just going through a lot with exams and such in college.
Yeah,
it's been pretty rough lately.
It's been hard with me with sleep more than ever before.
Yeah,
because like, oh sorry, it's just because my dorm mates are just they're loud at 2 a.m. and I couldn't go to bed, and I had to wake up at I woke up at 9:30, and I felt
maybe invest in the earplugs.
I really want to get myself some noise canceling headphones, but I can't afford it yet. I want a job so I can afford to get noise canceling headphones. I have some earplugs, but it's just more of like, it's like I would be in a deep sleep and then 2 a.m. loud noise. And I'm like, what? And I realize, oh, they're playing music or dancing or screaming. And I'm like, God damn. So,
yeah.
And it's become a problem. And most people think that I'm the cranky old man because I'm the one that gets, like, only one saying anything about it. But, you know, I gotta stand up for myself on that regard.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't really know because I'm a very deep sleeper. You would know that from the trip for our club that we went on.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna tell this story. So it was senior year of high school, and me and Yjang, we've been in this club. He's been in it for 2 years. I've been in it for 4 years since I was a freshman. And it was this club where you make bills and you go to the capital of your state, which for us is Tallahassee. Yeah, youth and government. And we
I think it was like a Holiday Inn or something like that.
We were at this. Sure. I think it was like a larger motel, bit outside of Tallahassee. Yeah, but it wasn't like your traditional like high-rising hotel. It was like 2 or 3 floors, I think. And so we're assigned to the same room because we're from the same chapter. And we were the only 2 guys from our chapter other than the sponsor, but the adults get their own rooms. So we get to the room first because we want to stake out claims on the beds because we're the seniors, so we deserve the beds, right? We get there and there's 2 beds and they're pretty large, and then there's a couch and a few chairs. So we decide, okay, if there's 4 of us, which is usual for these, one person will get a bed, one person to a bed, one person to a couch, and the third person, who will probably be either a freshman or a sophomore, will sleep on the floor, as is
move up
tradition.
Yeah,
that's what happened to me when I was a freshman because we had a hotel room with only 2 beds and a couch, and there were 4 people.
But you're able to move up through time.
I slept under a table my first year, and it was horrible. But after that, I was able to put the other freshmen under that table. So, yeah. So three other guys show up, which is a lot more unusual. And we go, oh, crap, this is bad. Because that means 2 people have to be on the floor, or some of the guys will have to share beds. And I know it's different for girls, but guys really don't enjoy sharing beds. I know talking to the girls, like one of the girls in our chapter, who I don't like naming names, whatever, she would tell me how the girls were fine sharing beds, like 2-person to a bed. So we start trying to ration out how this is going to work, and 2 of the guys from the same chapter offer to share a bed.
Or on the couch.
Okay, that makes things easy. And so,
yeah, because I was like, I only been here for like 1 extra year, so I thought it would be fair if you get the bed, and then the other guy.
Yeah. So I think you offered to go on the couch one night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said, okay, I'll trade with you because we were there for I think 2 or 3 nights. And I said, "Oh, I'll trade with you tomorrow. I'll take the couch and you take the bed. Then we'll switch back again for the final night."
Yeah.
But the third guy, who I think he had, like,
he was, yeah.
But it was like pretty bad autism. Like it was worse than just like I know people.
Well, I know he had autism. I know he also had like a social problem because he had to bring his counselor with him.
Maybe his autism wasn't bad. Maybe he was just because he was like really like. Yeah, it's just he was really pushy. Like he had been handed everything in his life. So we start trying to negotiate. Yeah, I was about to say that. So how the room was organized was there was the main like living room with the couch, TV, a little tiny kitchen, and a bathroom attached. Then in the back there were the 2 bedrooms with each their own doors and locks. So we start trying to we say, okay, you go here, you 2 take that bed, I'll take this bed, Yjang takes the couch, and you get to either sleep in the chairs, the floor, whatever you want to do. We can work out. Maybe you can take the couch or one of the beds some other night, but for tonight you're on the floor. And he looks at us, his eyes just widen, and he just sprints to one of the bedrooms, the one that the 2 guys were supposed to take, and just locks himself in there for the rest of the night. And he does not come out even when we're going over like food schedule, shower schedule, what time our alarms are going off. He just stays in there even when we're like, hey, we're going over all this. So I don't know if it was that night or the next night, but Yjang gets tired of it and calls the counselors for him.
No,
and,
it was
the first night or the second.
It was I think it was the second night. Yeah, the second night I was like, hey, the first night I was like, okay, you know what, fine, maybe he just needs some time to himself. But by the second night, I was like, okay, I'm not having any of this because. Okay, there's one thing I care about in my life. Even though I don't get to enjoy it, bliss, I care about my sleep. I love having a good sleep because when I wake up in the morning, I feel great. It's the best feeling in the world. So when the guy was making me have to sleep on the floor for 2 nights straight, I'm like, bullshit, this kid. And I can't get too mad at him because I know he's not like the same like the rest of us in that regard. That
doesn't excuse shitty behavior though.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't know, but I can't expect this kid to go far if he was expecting us for him to treat him like he was like, you know, number 1 or he was the king, because like he was acting like he was the shit, and I was like, hell no, you're first of all, it was his first year here, and he was already being uncooperative because we had to like, you know, preserve the order, you know. We had to like sleep in the bed one night because I didn't want to sleep on the floor again. So
you call in the counselors and 2 of them show up. Mm-hmm. They're both from our like delegation.
Yeah.
And one of them I feared was coming, Miss O, which is what we actually called her. I don't actually know what her real name is. What's it called? She shows up along with one of our other counselors who is more nice, I guess. But Miss O is known for just making decisions. So they show up.
Right, it's like good cop, bad cop.
They show up and they start questioning us about like what's happening. They try to get him out of the room, but he won't come out. And so eventually, I believe it's Miss O gets the key from downstairs and just unlocks the room. And then she starts setting where everyone's going to sleep. She gives him the couch to himself. And then she puts the other 2 guys who were originally going to share a bed in the bedroom he was in, and she puts me and Yjang in the bed that I had been using for the previous night. And we're like, oh, this sucks. I don't like sharing a bed.
Yeah, because I wanted him to sleep on the floor, and I wanted to take the couch.
Yeah, and like, I even offered, like, okay, man, like, you take the bed, I'll sleep on the floor. But Yjang's like, no, you don't gotta sleep on the floor. So we create a little wall in the middle of the bed, and we just take our sides. And then I wake up the next morning, you know, sun shining in my face, and I look around and I'm like, oh, Yjang's not here. I guess he got up earlier than me. I turn right because I like hear something, and it's you laying on the floor with your like clothes down as like a tarp or something. Like, I don't know, you're just like a mini sleeping bag, and you're just laying on the floor, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was something like you kicked me off the bed in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Which,
like, I don't know what happened, but it was like around like 2 a.m. I think, and then you just started like rustling for room, and then when you realized like I was in your way, you just like knocked me off. I'm like, what?
apparently that's something I do in my sleep, according to my family. If there's anyone else in the bed, and there's and my unconscious self thinks they're in my way, I will kick them until they move.
I wonder how you're gonna deal with having a girlfriend sleeping with you.
Shit! Also, like tie myself to the bed, just like tie my legs down so I don't just like beat her in my sleep. Yeah.
But it was so funny. But yeah, it was an experience. I'm not like a stranger to sleeping on the floor now.
Well, I took the floor the last night because I felt bad. So
right. But it was a real interesting trip for our last trip. I think overall it was kind of like a bit underwhelming because I wanted to do more, but it was like the same thing of last year.
Yeah, they just like, in my opinion, the trips there got worse as the years went on. Like the best were the first two for me. Mm-hmm. And then the third and the fourth year were just like, yeah, they're making this really simple and like boring.
Pretty much. And I never been to like Camp Wewa or whatever it was called, but it was I enjoyed the hotels. I enjoyed the rooms because I don't really go camping a lot. I don't think I've been camping in about a decade now.
Experience. So let me tell you about it. Because we only did Camp Wewa for the first 2 years when I was there. And apparently they'd been going there for like 15 years, and then they just change it. But it's everyone basically in the middle of the woods, in Central Florida, and you have 150, 200 people maybe, and you basically live like a communitarian life for a few days. You get put in a cabin with people you probably don't know. You sleep on military-style cots, and it's infested with ants and spiders, and the light doesn't really work. It's not insulated, so it's the middle of fall, so you're probably going to be pretty cold, or if you're unlucky, it's going to be really hot, and you can't do anything about it because there's no AC. All the food is like pre-packaged canned corn, and Sloppy Joe's was the only food they had, along with like Nestle water that was hot always, even if it was cold outside. And it's everyone, and you have to be in your like formal wear because this is supposed to be getting you ready for the state trip to the capital. So it's everyone walking around in the sand and dirt and mud in suits, dress shoes, everything. Like there's rocks. You just have to deal with your shoes getting destroyed and your suit getting dirty, and there's no way to wash it other than going to the nearby stream, but nobody ever did that because that's stupid. So you just have to pat your suit down every day and just hope it looks okay. And then you have to go to these other like abandoned cabins that nobody slept in for your groups. So you'd be put in a group with like 9 other people to go like present your bills to each other. And you would go to these abandoned cabins with maybe one light working and just old, like rusty iron furniture everywhere. And you would sit down and you would present your bill. And then they would vote to be like, oh, whose is the best, blah, blah, blah. And then that person would go on to a greater trial where you would meet in the main lodge area, which also didn't have air conditioning, but it was wood. So it was even more humid than those old rusty buildings. So you would meet in there, and like for these later trials, everybody shows up. It's not just 10 people. It'd be like half of the people there per. So you'd have like 100 people in a room, in an old wooden room with no insulation or AC in the middle of like October or November, just sitting there watching people barely debate about like cop cameras or something. And then you all vote to see who the best is. If you win that sort of like debate thing, then you don't get anything for it. They just go, "Oh, good job. You'll you'll do well at state. Here's a sloppy Joe with frozen baby carrots and like a Sprite that's stale. On the second night you're there, as you're trying to sleep on your military cot and you're trying to keep the spiders off you, and you just got done playing 3 rounds of poker with your cabin mates, because there were about 20 guys to a cabin with usually about 19 beds. And I use beds in quotation marks because they're just like maybe a like inch thick. The cots. You just got done playing poker with them on the cement floor, just the raw cement floor. And you get in your cot, and then a knock comes at the door. It's one of the camp counselors who is always peppy. All of them always were. They come to the door and they say, "Hey, we're doing our campfire songs. Come on, guys." And then one brave lad goes, "Do we have to?" And the camp counselor looks at him like he just shot his mother or something like that. He just goes like, "Yes, you do. Come on." And everyone just like resigns themselves because the people who have been there before know what's coming. And they take you down by the stream into this little like ditch where they have a fire going. It's not even big. It's like a really small fire. And they put you down on these, those like metal stadium seats. It's that, but it's plastic, like the ones in the gymnasium at schools. So you're sitting on it, and you know how those always get extremely uncomfortable after like 2 minutes. You're down there for about an hour as the camp counselors all sing and dance around the campfire, trying to get students to join in, and singing the worst campfire songs you've ever heard, like one about a caterpillar. And then they give you store-bought s'mores, and half the people there burn them because they've never cooked a s'more in their life because they're in a government club and didn't think that this would be happening to them. So after all that, you eat your sloppy Joe and canned corn dinner. And you head back to your cabin. And also, there were no blankets. So you just slept in your clothes. And if you didn't bring a change of clothes, then you slept in your suit. And then you do it all over again for like 3 or 4 days.
Why would they... Okay, I understand now why they stopped doing that. But this is terrible. Why would they? I don't know.
It was like a rite of passage, okay?
This sounds... I feel for you, Jeff. I don't know what to say, but
be happy
I'm glad
that you did not go
we were able to come. I did not have to go to Camp Wewa. I avoided it really well, apparently. But hey, at least now we are not forced to go to camping trips forced upon by preppy.
But just think,
high schoolers.
In 10 years from now, or like 10 or 15 years from now, when we have like 5 or 6-year-old kids, like, we're gonna have to go on fucking camping trips with them.
Oh god, I need to pregame before that. I don't think I could go camping right now because I haven't been camping in like a decade, man. And goodness, I don't know, like camping is one of those things where I am not a fan of nature. I love cement with nature in balance.
Your wife comes to you,
like all
she
things
says,
should be.
"I'm pregnant." Yjang turns around, gets out a fucking notepad and pen, and goes, "I've got to plan my camping trips."
I will plan it where it's the most
just camp in your backyard
trip to the point
if you have one.
That's what I'm thinking. If I have a backyard, which I really don't want one, unless I become like a mega millionaire. Actually, I'll take it. But that's the most I would do. Backyard camping. If they ask for more, I'm like,
But what if your kid wants to join the like Boy Scouts or something?
I guess
like
Boy Scouts.
Or the Girl Scout.
Dang, I don't even like the... Okay, here's the thing I have a problem with the Boy Scouts. Is like, I'm okay with them teaching kids how to do this stuff. I don't like fundraising at all. like fundraising, especially like cookie
those
sales.
Fucking candle
I don't feel
sales.
good because I know the person who's buying this doesn't really want it.
Ugh.
And like, or you know what sucked when I was going through high school? A lot of people were selling knives so they can fund their college tuition. Those fundraisers for
you mean
college.
like kitchen knives?
Yeah, people were.
I thought people were out there selling like military issue, like
knives.
serrated knives for college. I'm like, who the hell did you hang out with?
No, but there was people in our school that were selling kitchen knives and like showing, oh, look at how sharp this knife is.
Like our
look
school.
how I can chop this penny in half. Yeah, and I'm like, hey man, you're doing it for your college. I respect that. But at the same time, I was like, I hate fundraisers. They don't. Here's the thing. I had made a policy. My family made a policy that if it was a fundraiser, what we would do is just give them money so that we don't have to do anything. It's like, okay, they want us to make like $50 in sales. Yjang, here's $50.
That just seems faster, but I would just give them nothing and move on.
I know, but the thing is that sometimes it's like semi-required. Like, okay, if it's like a club that's requiring me to do this, I'd rather just give the money.
Youth and government,
if it's like
because I was in it for 4 years, we tried fundraisers sometimes, and I didn't feel like selling to people,
right?
Because, I mean, I think I'm a pretty good salesman, but only when I want to sell something, and I did not want to sell candles. So what I did was I helped other people sell them. I gave them tips how to sell. We put up posters, all that sort of stuff. So I was helping, but I wasn't selling. Yeah.
You're consulting.
And it was
there
way better. Because I didn't have to go around and be like, please buy my candles.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's not even the rejection I'm like even worried about. It's just more of like it's a time that I know is being wasted when I know I just need the money, but I don't have it. And when I do have it, I just let them have the money. I think of my time more valuable in many respects. Like, I feel about that more. But at this point, I'm just if I were to like be in that situation where it's like, hey, we need to do a fundraiser, I'm probably just going to sell my time for it because that's where I see it.
There's just much better ways to earn money than fundraisers. Like, just like go get a job or something and use the money from that. I don't know. Go work at McDonald's. Recently, I got my dad into JoJo. I watched part 1 with him. We watched all of it, and we started the first few minutes of part 2, and we have yet to keep watching, and that was, I think, 2 days ago. But he's just been busy or whatever. But he says that he likes JoJo because it makes him laugh how absurd everything is. But he said it still has a fairly decent story and good action.
Right.
So
I think that's the reason why. I mean, that's the reason why everyone loves it. Everything's just so crazy, off the wall, and
when I told him part 1 was the most normal part, he looked at me like I was insane.
Now that you mentioned it, yeah, you're right. Part 1 is the most tame part of this entire series so far.
like I'm in part 4, and looking back, like rewatching part 1 with him, like, oh my god, this isn't even that weird.
Yeah, the story was like, oh, I can sympathize, brothers and stuff. Now it's like I'm in part 3 and like, what the hell is with the stance? And now you're in part 4 and you're about to hit 5 soon. It's going to get even more crazy.
Yeah, because Kira just showed up a few episodes ago.
Oh,
so. Yeah, it's good.
This is going to be great. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been I just been getting kind of bit on the anime bandwagon. I like it. I'm glad I've been able to spend some time with it. Like, either if I'm not watching anime or I'm playing Persona, I finally had that little rhythm coming back onto it, like at night. But
it's so good to hear that you're playing P3, because
I
was worried for so long that you would get tired of the grinding and quit.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm okay with grinding. I don't like it, but I have been through, like, I played Pokemon all through my time, and grinding is not something new to me. I just have something else to do in the background, like maybe I'm grinding through Persona, I'm watching a YouTube video, or I'm playing like another game that's another turn-based RPG. So with Persona, I so far at the point where Koromaru just popped up. They just discovered that the moons are the reason. The full moons bring up the shadows, the big shadows,
the shadow boss.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm at day 17 left to the next full moon, and I already hit the block floor. So I have like 17 days to grind up to like level 30 if I wanted to, and do story missions. So I'm not really worried anymore. Like grinding is like, you know, it's like homework. You just get it through in the beginning, and after that you can just enjoy the story.
That's how I did it after the first few full moons. I just right when the right when you can go back and the new floors unlock, I just spent like 2 or 3 nights in there, just grinding away and getting to the top floor I can and getting everyone to a decent level, and then just for the next 20 days, just, you know, not going to Tartarus.
I probably should just keep going to Tartarus because I'm at 24 right now, and I think I need to be at 25 to fight against the boss, right? So last time I fought the boss, it was easy. The mini bosses were the only thing that were actually hard.
The mini bosses are hell,
yeah,
and they only get worse.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the mini bosses, like, oh my god, no. I think that's the actual, like, if they had reverse, you know, the difficulty.
That's how it is in P4 and 5.
Okay, good. Because
where the bosses are actually difficult and the mini bosses are just, this is a
XP farm, yeah.
Easy as hell, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, and as the Persona games go on, there's less and less grinding.
Oh, that's even better. Okay.
And the dungeon gets more and more, like, interesting. Because in 4, it's not just one dungeon, like Tartarus. It's, I think, 6 or 7 that changes based on what you're doing in the story. So, like, in the beginning, it's a castle, it's heaven, and then it's Japanese hell.
I'm sorry, Japanese hell. I like the fact there's like there's a hell for every certain country.
I mean, it's not fire or anything. It's just a bunch of spirits.
Oh, it's onis.
This,
yeah,
like,
I know those. Yeah.
No, it's just like human spirits in this like giant foggy area that looks like it's over water, and it's completely like silent.
Oh god, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know where that's from, and I kind of want to check it out, but I've seen this kind of pattern in especially anime that are really like more fantastical or mystical, where there's like some kind of like silent lake in Japan where there's like always like a lonely woman with like these kind of drabs and garbs where she has like she's gonna pull you in and kill you. I don't know.
I kind of wanted to talk about, because it's been in the news a lot lately, the border wall with Trump, and how apparently he wants to do it through like executive order. I think was what I saw.
I wonder if
that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know if he can do that, because from what I heard, at least, like he's tired of waiting for Congress to do anything, so he's just trying to go around them, which. You know, I don't like presidents doing that. That seems like an overstep of their bounds, and that he shouldn't be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And for anybody out there who's going to say, "Oh, you just hate Trump," that's why I'd be like,
No, he said the same thing for Obama. So I don't
like one branch of the government trying to take power from the others. Okay, you got to keep it in balance, or things will end up bad.
As all things should be balanced.
Well, it's not a 2-way balance though; it's a 3-way balance. Because it's
even more
harder, yeah.
Tricky. So yeah, so I understand he's been trying to do this for a while
since his election.
And here's here's the first one that he tried doing: Executive Order 13767. Border wall directs a wall colloquially called the Trump Wall to be built around the Mexico-U.S. border, and it was went to shut down on December 22nd. The government shut down, and the wall was the central, presidential campaign promise. I'm just reading the Wikipedia page, everyone, but all in all, he's been doing this for like since 2017, like around 2 years, and he's going to try to get it done. Which, in all fairness, I understand why, because it's like, this is his last effective year as a president. After that, he goes into lame duck mode, or not lame duck mode, but campaign mode, which he can't really focus on this anymore. So if he wants to do it, this is his only chance.
Yeah, and that's why he's trying to get all this through. He, like I said, he doesn't want to wait around anymore.
But I think like the thing about Trump is that I think the reason why he's doing this is because he needs to be the person to deliver on his promises. Like, look, sure, people might say, oh, well, Trump doesn't, it's not right like this, or he's not a good person. It's like, yeah, but there's one thing that Trump kind of tried to do is like be at least at a surface level making on his promises. Like, the Kim Jong-un thing. He says, we're going to talk to Kim, tell him to shut up. It maybe really hasn't done anything, but on paper and in the media, it looked like he did something for like a good, couple weeks. So that was at least a win right there. And if you were to make it where the Democrats are going to have to concede on a border wall, even if it's not even going to be effective or a good one, it's just going to be like, well, I would have got it done better, but the Democrats are getting my way. Or we're stalling so much time that we didn't have enough time to get going on the real project, or the whole government shutdown thing. So at least on paper, he would hit all his marks. And if you're looking for like a re-election, who would you want to vote for? The president that's unknown, or the president who's actually delivered on his promises, whether it's good or bad?
I mean, I guess that's a pretty good idea. I mean, most presidents don't even really try to accomplish their promises they made in the campaign, because they'll say anything that they can to get elected and all that. But actually, I want to ask you, do you think Trump will get reelected, or do you think we'll get a new president?
I think he easily can get elected again, depending on how the Democrats play it. I do think that the Democrats are probably going to play it soft and just not go as hard, but they could prove me wrong, because they probably just, they've been licking their wounds for the past 4 years. I mean, so they're kind of on edge to get, ahead of it. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see that, he gets reelected again, just because he's been like, the one thing I gotta admit I do admire Trump that I wish I had is that he has the ability to be above criticism for a lot of things.
I would say somewhat. I still think he gets pretty upset when people mock him or whatever. At least, large figures.
Oh yeah, but it's like his actions. Not so much when people like mock him, but when he does something, more or less he kind of just gets by. Even if it's like he gets called out or he gets blocked, he just kind of like, no sweat, really.
I would say it really depends on who the Democrats choose as their candidate. Because if they choose someone, like, especially if they choose like Hillary again,
or Elizabeth Warren, they're probably not going to vote for Hillary, but Warren has been a proven track record of people that are on the top list.
Yeah, and I would say that'd be better than Hillary, because I think her time has passed, definitely. And
I just didn't like the fact they put Hillary. Like, anyone would have been a better choice,
anyone,
but that's like, the past.
If they'd put
almost anyone,
like Bernie up or something like that, it'd probably been a much closer race, because he's a lot more popular with the young crowd, and I don't like.
Well, he was more audacious than he wasn't playing it safe. Like, I think the thing about Trump is that he was like, f it, I'm gonna go all out.
Yeah, which is a good and a bad thing in some regards. Because I think politics should try to be somewhat formal. Like, you should try to be polite. You shouldn't insult your opponents. You should treat it like it should be a respectable thing. And Trump didn't agree to any of that. He's out there making nicknames for his opponents and insulting how they look and all that sort of shit, which I still don't agree with.
Are you? I have a question though. Do you think that his methods are actually worth it? Because one of the things I thought about looking at this, and I told you about this idea before in the past, if not for listeners, there's this video by CGP Grey, who I really enjoy, called Rules for Rulers. And one of the main points he says is that if it gets you power, is technically worth it as long as you're able to control it.
Means.
And it's kind of like a very Machiavelli,
I
way of getting through things.
I do not believe the ends justify the means. I'm more of an idealist.
Fair enough, but I do. And I'm more the cynic who's like, if it's going to get you to win, it's probably the best strategy. And I think in this case, the meta has changed from being the good person on paper to being the effective one. Because if I were to look at the Brazilian president that got elected, even though he wasn't like a good person on many regards, he still got reelected because he had the same bombacity that people wanted. So while it wasn't the right thing, more or less, or it wasn't like the most, polite thing to do, he basically got elected by being, rude in himself and calling his opponents, or threatening his opponents.
I really don't like that at all. I think it's
fair enough,
a good idea, because if you start going down that road, you're just going to get whoever screams the loudest wins. And whoever it'll basically turn into a popularity contest and not a contest of who has the best ideas for how the country should be run. It's who's the most popular and screams the loudest.
Yeah, and this kind of just reminds you of high school, honestly. But I think that's like, I feel kind of, and I maybe I'm being the risky one, but this is the reason why I feel very jaded. I mean, whenever I think about like all this stuff, I just kind of feel like I want to have hope, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's really despairing to see how it's going, more or less. And I try to believe it could get better, but I'm very of the opinion that sometimes I look at Machiavelli as like, you might be right about something, but I don't want to admit that he could be right. Because that makes me really depressed about,
I would say he's definitely right about some things he talks about, but not everything, I would say he definitely has I would definitely say he has a much more cynical view on the world and mankind, and I try to keep a better view, better in my own regard. Someone could say it's worse. I just wish it wasn't going this way, and I doubt it can stop at all now.
Well, I think there's a lot of problems with like class divide for the first thing. Like, one of the things that we touched on not yesterday, but last episode when we were talking about the Fire Festival, about how the people were like really happy when the rich kids were getting out, their salt in their wounds. Is because a lot of those people who are like making fun were the people who were like really poor, who couldn't even afford it in the first place, and they felt like finally there's retribution to the rich people that take it so much. And I think the same thing goes where people are kind of like, I am sick of the way things are going, how the rich people are just getting rich and I'm stuck here broke as hell and I can't do anything about it because my job is shitty or no one's hiring me, and I just need somebody to tell me it's going to be all right, or that they have a plan. Because there's like a lot of hopelessness.
I think that's multiple things. It's this sort of like, people like feeling like they're the victim and that the world's putting them down, that it's other people's fault and all that. And it might be right sometimes, but at least in the modern world, I think a lot of it is just, it makes you feel good to say, it's not my fault. It's that big rich man that I've never met and who has probably never met me, and it's only affected my life in probably like he owns this company that I buy groceries from. Like it's his fault that I lost my job, or it's his fault that my gas prices went up by 20 cents last month. Like, and
right. And it's like the kind of stuff where it's like, you look at him as like, why is it that this guy is able to, decide who our rules are, or why does he get to skate by while I have to go and suffer? And it feels like a lot of people are saying this is not a fair deal. And in many respects, I kind of agree, but there's definitely something like kind of malicious that's steering this.
I was going to say that because if you let that go for long enough unhinged, you'll end up with things like, the French Revolution, or
hey, let's get
or like
let's chop
Lenin,
everyone's heads off
and all that. So, and then you'll just start killing people because they're different from you, and because they have more money, or they look different, or they think differently than you, and also I want to touch upon like that sort of idea comes from this sort of idea of people want to follow a strong leader. They want somebody to make all the decisions for them. They don't want to do anything. Most people, I think, they don't want to have free thought. They want someone to make their decisions for them. They want their life to be run by someone else because they don't want to deal with it.
What makes you say that?
It's just, I've been watching people basically my whole life because I've never had a terrible amount of friends. And just looking at people will form up into groups like automatically. And they'll choose a leader, and the leader will choose everything for everyone else. There's no democracy. It's just a straight dictatorship where whoever is most popular or strongest or smartest, depending on the group, will tell the others what to do. Well,
that's how it's been for the longest in human history.
I know, and that's just, a part of human psychology, with like tribalism and all that. But I feel like before in politics, it wasn't as blatant. Like, I know that this has always been a part of politics, this idea of whoever's strongest should be the leader. But nowadays, it just seems like it's straight like up front. Like, yeah, Trump says that he's the strongest one, so follow him. He's the big strong man. He'll go on TV and tell you what your ideas should be. And like, I see it all the time. Like, years ago, during the Obama thing, people were like, oh, I love free trade. We should be trading with China and Europe and all that. Then Trump comes out like a year and a half ago and goes, I don't like free trade. We should do tariffs and all that. And you talk to them, and they're like, oh, yeah, I hate free trade. We need tariffs and stuff because we're getting a bad deal. And you go, but wait, didn't you like free trade? He's like, no, I never liked free trade. It's terrible. And just so easily swayed by another's opinion.
You know what that reminds me of? 1984.
Yeah, and I think Orwell was right in some regards in that book, but it's, I think a bit too extreme for right now.
Oh yeah, but that kind of like
groupthink
hits me where, where the minister of was basically saying like, what was the Minister of Truth?
Ministry of Truth, yeah.
Where... Yeah, the Ministry of Truth was basically the ones where if you read the book or heard about it, if you haven't, then that's your own fault. This is like a 40-year-old book or older. But basically, the idea was the Ministry of Truth basically decides how the meta or how the current thought should be, to where if we were allies with a former nation, we are now enemies with them. We've always been for the longest of our entire time. And if they were to say the sky is red, they will not only make you believe the sky is red, but they'll make you believe that it's always been red throughout their entire time. Never thinking about that you used to think that the sky was blue or green or whatever. Yeah, and it's
just a trend maybe just because, I've grown up, but I've just seen it more in recent years, and it's worrying because, like, I'll talk to people, and how I enjoy talking about politics sometimes. And I'll be like, oh, so what's your opinion on this? And they'll give me their opinion, like I'll ask them, oh, what's your opinion on Trump's wall? And you really only one of two answers. It's either, oh, I believe we should build the wall, make the Mexicans pay for it, we should show those Democrats up, stop all immigration, blah, 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 blah. Or it's, I don't think we should have a wall. Trump is an evil, bad orange man who is a racist and locks up children. And then I'll ask either person, why do you think that? And usually they'll say, oh, because someone else told me about it. Like, oh, because I saw it on Fox News. Or, oh, I saw it on the Young Turks. It's just like, oh, so you got your opinion by just following someone else's without looking into it.
All right, fair enough. But I have one question, though. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong at all about, like, following people's opinion. But I do want to know, like, okay, say... For example, for me, on my end, and I'm just going to be upfront, like, I thought the whole thing about, the separation of families was really abhorrent, and I was doing, like, my own, like, research about it. And I understand it's a bad system because it was just like it was just put in place, and there wasn't a lot of planning or forethought about the implications of it. But if someone were to make that kind of argument, knowing that kind of stuff, like how it was intended to be put out, why it was intended to be put out, what would you think about that?
What do you mean, like, are you, like, what are you asking?
Well, say, like, okay, I disagree with the family separation because it ignores human rights, and also it was poorly implemented from the start and is somewhat racist. And I would try to, the question would be, if I were to only base my idea off of one post or one, newsletter outlet, would you be like, oh, that's the problem? Or is it more of the...
Like, a lot of the news nowadays, they all say the same thing. Because they'll just copy articles from each other. But yeah, look around a bit, maybe read 1 or 2 articles, but it's mostly just critically thinking, what do I think about this? Like don't follow their opinions, and you might end up close to their opinions, or maybe the exact same thing. But don't just go, oh, that's the truth because it's someone that I agree with. Think, okay, how do I feel about this? And it sounds like you've thought about this, which is good, And I personally disagree on some aspects, with the separating children thing. Like, a lot of people blame that on Trump, but it started under Obama. But yes, it has continued under Trump. And I do think that it's a pretty bad system. It could be a lot better. I definitely think that it, is pretty inhumane to separate families like that. I understand that they do need to separate it for a short amount of time for like processing and such. You'll need to figure out names and all that. But keeping them away from each other for that long, especially with like younger children, I don't think that's all right.
It's developmental problems.
If the kid is at like 7, 8, not 7, but like 8, 9, 10, then they can be away from their parents for a few hours. They'll be okay. But under that, like, they are extremely dependent on their parents, and they'll freak out. And I do think it is a bad system, and that it does need to be looked at and changed, maybe removed. But with the amount of people coming over our border, there needs to be some way to sort through them, because unlike previous things where we had, Ellis Island, or I believe it's called Angel Island or whatever out in California. I might be wrong on the name. I kind of forgot it. Where people would come in by boat from across the seas, and they would get processed there on that island and then let out into the, general U.S. With the southern border, it's just land. We can't put an island there. So there has to be some way to process people trying to cross the border legally or like illegally. And legally, of course, they'll go through the regular checkpoints, which are all fine. At least from what I know. I've never had to immigrate to the U.S. I was born here. But from what I know,
it's not an easy.
I know it's not easy. Believe me, I've talked to immigrants, including your family, and most of my old Spanish teachers were immigrants, and they told me about how hard it is and all that. But it's not like inhumane, It's right. It's like normal. And there's an argument to be made that legally immigrating here is a bit too hard, but that's a discussion for another time. But illegally crossing, that is considered a crime. And I do think we can't just let people over the border like willy-nilly. There needs to be some distinction between us and Mexico, and processing those people that are coming in needs to be done. Whether we let them in and they're on like a visa, or we send them back, that's another discussion for another time. And even I don't really have a concrete idea there, really.
Same here. Like, even as much as I tried thinking about it, because for a while, like in the past, I tried thinking about like, what are some ways we can try to make this better, so that way there can be like a bit of a balance on both sides, where it's not, threatening, or it's not, unrestricted for, for Americans to see people coming over, but also where it's fair and, accessible for new immigrants to come over to the U.S. And a lot of it has to do with like geopolitics of their home country and also our country, and how we work around, the economics of our, current respective environments. Like, there's not really a good reason for me to move over to another country unless I feel like the country I live in is pretty crap. And if there's not a accessible way for me to get to another country that from my own, then it incentivizes me to do something illegally. It's a bad service problem. And if it's a bad service problem, at least it's situations like this where it doesn't help anyone because, people are not treated as people.
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
I think the best way to solve it would be trying to improve the legal immigration process. Because at least from what I've heard from immigrants who wanted to come to the U.S., it takes years, and I think the immigration process shouldn't be instantaneous, and it shouldn't take a week. It should maybe take a few months, maybe 2, 3, 4 months, maybe even up to 6. Yeah,
just to get a visa.
But just to get a work visa or just something like that, it shouldn't take that long. Now applying for actual citizenship, of course, that's a whole other process. You have to live here for a few years and all that. And I think that system right now is okay, but I think we have such a big illegal immigration problem because our legal immigration is too hard for a lot of people. Yeah, that's our.
I do have my one idea. Just so I can, for listeners, you can say I'm shit or a terrible person after this, but here's my idea when I thought about one time in youth and government that I wanted to put as a bill idea. So if you ever make this an actual bill, you don't have to credit me, but if you do, thank you. But my idea was if there's an illegal, if there's an undocumented immigrant that is in America, and if there's an undocumented immigrant that's in America and they're non-violent, I believe in the system where if they stay here for 10 years and they keep up a good record, they can get residency because they did it legally for 10 years. Just because I realized that if they're technically, I thought about all the people who are oh, I never had my, I came here as a kid and I grew up in high school and I graduated college and now I'm being deported. And I'm that probably guy has been here for at least a decade and he's integrated well. He should probably at least, if not citizenship, just give him residency. If he can prove that he's been a good standing citizen, have someone to back him up on that, who is a citizen here, then people like that should just be given residency just because of it. But the reason I say 10 years and I mean no problems whatsoever and it has to be do a review is because if it's shorter, then it incentivizes people to come here illegally. But a decade is just enough where it's you would really have to dodge not getting caught, and then B, also you have to be a really good person and be contributing to the society just to get that kind of special treatment, which is why I think it's my idea, because it kind of gives it a balance where if you do cause trouble, then that I can't help you there. But if you've been an upstanding person, then there should be some way for you to not, at least not residency. I mean, if not citizenship, just residency should be fair.
I think as long as they're paying taxes, then that sounds like an okay idea.
Yeah. If they're paying taxes and they're being a good person for 10 years, it sounds like a person I would want to keep.
As long as they don't commit too many misdemeanors or any felonies or anything, and they pay their taxes and they're an upstanding citizen, I think giving them residency is okay, but definitely not citizenship.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's a problem. I don't know why. I mean, maybe I'm not too sure if that's ever being talked about in Congress. But whenever I told them residency, people are more open to it than if I say citizenship. Because citizenship is a hard sell and a lot of people work hard for it. But residency is a little bit different.
And I think that's a bit better than, some ideas out there right now. But I think that'd be a hard sell to either side, I mean,
okay. I should actually ask people on the Democrat side too.
Because I'm on the right. I'm willing to compromise just to get things done. Even though I don't agree 100%, I am willing to compromise to make things better. But a lot of people I don't know. I just feel like the left and the right are moving further left and further right, Like we're going towards more extremes.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot less willingness to compromise, especially with the demonization of the other side that's coming from both. Like the left says the right's terrible and the right says the left is terrible.
Sucks too.
It's just breeding more conflict.
And it sucks too because if you try to be like a compromiser, then it makes you think, oh, I thought you were one of us. It's like, of course I'm one of you. I'm just trying to get things done. It's like, but I thought you were on our team. Didn't you? Aren't you one of us, John? Aren't you one of us, Jeff? And it's like, of course I'm a liberal. Of course I'm a conservative. It's just that I think we could do better if we work together. And then people like you and me, who are more or less okay to like trying to work around something, kind of get booted out of office for being too like moderate.
And I feel like the like age of the moderate or whatever is like ending. Like I don't feel like our future presidents and leaders will be moderates for a long while. I feel like they're going to be either, pretty far to the left or pretty far to the right, depending on who's elected. And I feel like it's only going to get worse. And I don't know how that ends, but probably another war. Because that's how America solves problems. We get in a war and we like unify again. Or we fight and kill each other.
That kind of seems a bit unlikely, though. It seems unlikely just because it's too spread out across the nation. It's not like Civil War was easily like North versus South. Yeah, but that was different. Those were like countries, and even then, people kind of like got together. It's like, okay, look, I hate you,
both
but
hate Nazis.
But we both hate Nazis, or we both don't think this is right. So we're just gonna go, screw this guy's shit over together. But that's I feel like a bit different. Plus, a nation can galvanize people to fight, but I don't think the U.S. would bother with that now that it's at the point where technology is making it easier for us to fight non-destructive wars.
I don't think there'll be many more major wars where it'll be armies meeting on the field.
This is either nukes or like, small attacks.
Just like small skirmishes, probably the most we'll have. Maybe like a few hundred on both sides, but nothing like an actual invasion.
Yeah. I don't think invasions work anymore because we all have nukes. So if anyone tries to invade, it's like, oh, okay, well, GG everyone.
Yeah, or we just have so many drones where it's like, oh, just firebomb them to death because these things are
pretty much
like replaceable. We don't have to train them. We just make them in a factory.
Yeah. So that's why it's going to be like iRobot, man.
Yeah, like, I predict our world will head towards a more like robotic future, honestly.
I can't wait for Cyberpunk to be the reality because then I can live out all my my favorite movies. Unless I'm one of the people who get beat up
I am just afraid of
system.
AI. And
I think there's good reason to be too.
They will be better than human beings. They'll be smarter than us. They won't have to eat or drink. They won't have to sleep. They don't have to worry about pain. They're just better. The only thing they lack is like feeling,
nuances.
That's the only thing that they really lack.
That's it.
But otherwise, they're just straight up better than us. And
and if they get a robot body, that's even better because they can just replace whatever they break. This is why being a cyborg sounds like the best.
I think how humanity should go from here is if we do create robots, make sure that their intelligence is at most around like a 4-year-old level and just use them for like...
Nah, it's not going to work that way.
I know it won't, but this is my like ideal future. Keep robots at a very low level of intelligence and just use them for like manual labor and easy jobs that humans don't want to do anymore. Make them all the factory workers, the sewer cleaners and all that.
Dude, have you played Detroit Become Human? This is the exact problem that happens.
Don't give them human features. Don't give them any emotions. Don't just.
It wasn't. They weren't planned to program to have emotions. Remember, but they eventually developed
whose
it.
Fucking fault is that? If you played the game, the guy creator who made them was like, yeah, I put those in because I thought it was funny. So,
yeah. I feel like there's gonna be one asshole in
don't
our
make
lifetime
them look like people. Like go the Go the like Fallout
Why?
route and make them look like giant hunks of metal or like floating like iRobot servants. And because if you make them look like people, you'll start to wonder, why am I worse than them? I look like them. Or people will go, they look like people, they deserve rights. And that will just lead to problems. And if they're better than us, they'll kill us.
I think the best way to... I think here's the thing what we should do. The best scenario in AI future, we synthesize. And because it's the whole... Here's the reason why. It's more of like, if you can't beat them,
I don't want to become
join
a robot.
You know? You don't have to become a robot. You can
have you played Deus Ex, Human Revolution? I would be one of the like lower underclass, non-augmented, while all the gods up there who are half machine are like, you don't have to become a robot. It's just, if you want to get anywhere in life, you do.
Yeah, I kind of want to be like an augmented. That's all. I just want to have that. I want to be kind of part god, so I can replace my arm, or my leg in case it ever gets hurt.
I'm okay with like
oh no,
that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want robotic prosthetics that I can control with my arm.
I think that's okay, but I don't want like super advanced ones. Like one's a bit better than we have right now. I think would be okay. Like.
I just want the ability to replace my leg at any moment in case.
And like, I still want them to be like slightly worse than regular limbs. Because if they're better, then you'll get Deus Ex, where people cut off their limbs because the robot versions are better.
Well, that's the point.
I don't want that though. I don't want human cyborgs everywhere.
Be class divide of the rich who have cyborgs,
and it would just lead to more problems.
This is what I'm saying. It's really more of a class problem than it is more like a robot problem.
Well,
it's about
robots,
the haves and have
robots are also a problem. But like I was saying, of my like ideal future, we create these like basic robots, and then we just start looking towards space, and we create something like in the Mass Effect games where all the nations on Earth still control their like land and stuff, because Earth will probably never unify. But what they do is that all space actions are held under a common alliance, and all the resources and power gained in space is shared among the Earth.
That's the best way to go about it, because I don't think a woke government could happen unless we become a really better people.
Yeah, and like how it works in Mass Effect is there's basically like a representative from each of the major nations, basically like a security council that meets up and is like, okay, what do you want to do about this? And they're like, we think we should do this, or like we should do this, blah blah blah, and that sort of stuff happens. But then we start heading out into the cosmos and just start spreading like the cockroaches we are.
Oh God.
And after that, I don't know.
I think Galactic Empire is a great way for humanity.
Not an empire, a galactic republic.
Galactic Republic. Shoot, that is the best way.
Mm-hmm. Republic is better than democracy. Change my mind. I think for a like large nation, Republic is the only thing that could work besides empire.
Sense. Democracy makes sense in a small scale because it's more attainable and it's actually, worth going for. But because power is so fractured in democracy, it doesn't work on a large scale where things need to get done. Whereas republics, they do have the ability to be fractured, but they're not,
just harder.
They're not anti federation. They're more or less like, look, we can have central means of governments, but not have them be overwhelming.
Yeah, like you'd have, like states almost. Like, oh, let's have the that sector over there is doing that while they're still under the control of us. They can do their own things at the like local level. So what I'm saying is like a federal space republic would be the best thing for mankind.
The Federation, the Federated Space Republic of Earth. That sounds cool.
Yeah, or like of Soul, because that's what our sun's called.
Yeah, Soul.
So like,
hey, cool, my.
Huh?
No, go on. I was thinking about my family.
I was gonna say like, we could be the like United like Republic of Soul or something like that. Like I don't know.
Homo Solus.
Well, that just sounds like a scientific name.
Yeah, it does. But like we're people of the sun.
But it'll probably just be called the like Earth Federation or something boring like that.
Praise the sun.
Mm-hmm. Solaire is our first president.
We can have a new god devoted to the sun, just like in Dark Souls.
Well, did you know that was an actual religion in a lot of places on Earth? Like, did you know that the Inca worshipped that? And did you know there was a ancient religion in Afghanistan called the Zionist religion that worshipped the sun? Fun fact.
It sounds fun.
It's not really. They were pretty incestuous because they thought that was holy. Just like the Zoroastrians in Persia.
Wait, what?
You don't know this?
I didn't know they were incestuous.
Oh, no. Yeah, because in Zoroastrian myth, one of their biggest gods married his sister.
Oh,
and then their kids married each other.
Oh, man.
So all the Persian emperors, it was considered very holy and noble for them if they married their siblings. Or their mother, or their aunts, or their own children sometimes.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. And that was widely accepted.
It's stuff like this.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
They put the Habsburgs to shame.
Oh, God. Is that bad?
And that's how the Muslims conquered them extremely easily, because their kings were so deformed and incestuous that they couldn't really do anything.
Oh, goodness. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. I'm so tired because of that last night still. But that was the first thing that made me laugh today, really.
Oh, good. Well, if you just want to call it here, I think we got about an hour, 20 minutes of footage. Not footage, audio, whatever. So,
I think sounds good.
All right, well, thanks for listening to Tangent Podcast. This might be a bit shorter of an episode, but what's it called? Both of us are a bit tired after exams and all that, and Yjang's apparently got people dancing next to him while he sleeps.
2 a.m.
So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tangent Podcast. I'm at T Krogan, and he is at Yjang Winter. Have fun spelling that.
It will be in the description below. Yeah. But if you want, also get us on our website. I'm going to be doing a small
tangentpodcast.com.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it a little bit better. Try to redesign it as I try to understand WordPress more. But yeah. And if you ever want a developer on here, just at me at Yjang Winter. And if you ever want to talk about communism and how its merits in America, you should talk to T Krogan.
It has no merits. Also, thank you to Julio for being our patron.
Of course,
patreon.com.
Want to
Tangent Podcast.
give a big shout out to Julio, who's been supporting us,
helping.
It's been great knowing that
pay the costs for the website.
I'm going to see if I can try to reduce costs so we can make more revenue and do that.
We can make like $3 a month. Woo.
We can if I can figure out how to reduce costs towards like buy more
ramen.
The feed. I might be able for us to make like $15 a month. So that'll be kind of nice.
Well, we'd have to split that, so we both earn like $7.50 a month.
Pretty
Holy
much.
Holy shit, that's so much money.
I can go shopping for like earbuds with that money in 3 months.
Wow. Okay, well, thanks for listening. We've said this like 3 times, so we're just gonna end it. Tune in next time. Bye.
Bye.